The top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. eyes building mid-rise and high-rise housing projects in urban areas, an attempt to revive the housing program initiated by his late father in the 1980s. Both chambers of Congress restore the 150 million peso proposed confidential fund of the Department of Education in the bicameral Conference Committee report of the proposed 2023 national budget. The Department of Agriculture considers selling of government-seized onions at Kadiwa stores to ease the burden of Filipinos amid the rising onion prices. And almost 2,000 people evacuate as Indonesia's highest volcano, Mount Semeru, erupted on Saturday. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Monday, December 5, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Harin Delgado. First in the news. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. intended to build mid-rise and high-rise housing projects in urban areas, an attempt to revive the housing program initiated by his late father in the 1980s. Nel Maribohok reports.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said the government is considering building high-rise housing units to address the current backlog in the country and catch up with the rising need for decent shelter. During the nationwide turnover of 30,000 housing units to families, President Marcos Jr. has reiterated his intention to revive the Bagong Lipunan Improvement of Sites and Services or BLIS to house low-income Filipinos in urban areas. This as he cited the lack of available lands for house and lot projects, particularly in Metro Manila.
Ngunit ngayon, dahil mahirap na, siguro baka pataasin pa natin. Baka pwede na natin itaas hanggang high-rise na. Ngunit pinag-aaralan natin to siguro case to case ito.
The chief executive pointed out the government is finding a way to organize different entities such as the local government units, Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, National Housing Authority and the national government to find a solution to the country's increasing need for more shelters. The president directed the NHA to continue fulfilling its mandate and ensure that families receiving new homes and are provided with means of livelihood.
Pero ang aming tinitingnan, the travel time mula sa bahay hanggang sa trabaho ay hindi dapat lalampas ng 1 oras. Dapat may malapit na eskwelahan para sa mga bata. Dapat may malapit na palengke o maliit na mall na para makapagbili ng mga pangangailangan ng mga pamilya.
PBBM also asked for the cooperation of the LGU and the private sector to ensure the well-being of the beneficiaries in their new environment.
Ito'y hinihingi ko sa kooperasyon ng ating mga lokal na gobyerno at pribadong sektor. Naway maging panatag ang ating mga kababayan sa kanilang mga bagong bahay. Mahalagang mabigyan ang ating mga kababayan ng pangkabuhayan, tulong upang malubos nila ang paninirahan sa kanilang mga bagong tahanan.
Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Both chambers of Congress ratified today the bicameral Conference Committee report of the proposed 2023 national budget. The BICAM version restored several budget cuts, to which a senator sees as a disappointment. This report will tell us why. The approved report of the bicameral Conference Committee on the 2023 national budget has restored the 150 million peso proposed confidential fund of the Department of Education, or DepEd. Senate panel chairperson Sonny Angara said it is the only confidential fund that was restored among all the agencies that suffered cuts in its proposed confidential and intelligence funds, or CIF. House panel chairperson Representative Elizalde said the move to restore the budget was a decision made by the House leadership.
Well, that's a decision of the House, the leadership na ituloy, no? Because mahirap ang mga kabataan natin na re-recruit sa maling papuntang landas. So we want the DepEd to spearhead. We want them to be secured, the future of our children.
Sabi nila is they need that budget. So yun ang, siyempre nirespeto natin yung wishes ng agency.
However, Senate Minority Leader Aquilino Coco Pimentel expressed disappointment on the move. It was Pimentel and Senate Deputy Minority Leader Risa Hontiveros who proposed for the deletion of confidential and intel funds in various government agencies during the Senate budget plenary debates. Under the Senate version, the DepEd confidential fund was slashed to just 30 million pesos after bulk of it was realigned to the agency's maintenance and other operating expenses or MOOE. Another, the 10 billion peso fund for the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict or NTF-LCAC was also restored in the BICAM report. This despite the reported slow implementation of projects of the task force.
On the part of the House, we agree to restore it, but we ask the agency to be more efficient and prudent. Kasi as of now, it's only 2% were utilized for year 2022. December na ho ngayon. So we urge and we na utilize it. Sayang ng 98% kung sa tingin natin na nakakatulong yun ng maigi. So it would be more kung nagagamit ng tama na mabilis.
Meanwhile, Angara noted the increases across various sectors, including the education sector, which increased to 900 billion pesos. Various social programs were also increased, such as the fuel subsidy for public utility vehicle drivers, government program for displaced workers under the Department of Labor and Employment, and several programs under the Department of Social Welfare and Development. Angara noted that it would take another week for the printing of the ratified version of the bill before it gets to be sent to Malacanang for the President's signature. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. assured on Sunday, December 4, that his administration will continue their duty during the holiday season to lead various government programs that aim to improve and provide a better life for all Filipinos. He took pride in the expansion of Kadiwa stalls across the country, saying this provides Filipino consumers with more affordable and high-quality local products, including rice from the National Food Authority or NFA being sold at 25 pesos per kilogram. There are nearly 400 Kadiwa stalls placed in the country, with over 40 located in the National Capital Region. The president said they are still fixing a lot with Kadiwa's operations, but it will be sustainable and permanent even after the holiday season. The idea of Kadiwa stalls was conceptualized by his parents, late former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. and former First Lady Imelda Marcos. President Marcos Jr. and First Lady Luis Araneta Marcos on Sunday also took pride in borrowing another idea of his father, the Balik Sigla Bigay Saya nationwide gift-giving event held at the Kalayaan grounds of the Malacanang Palace. This event has been conducted in cooperation with the Department of Social Welfare and Development, Department of Health, PAGCOR, Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office, local government units, private organizations, and other volunteer groups. Philippine National Police Chief Police General Rodolfo Asurin Jr. ordered cops to crack down guerrilla operations of online sabong. This after a report that e-sabong is still operating in the country. Leah Ilagan will tell us why.
Philippine National Police Chief Police General Rodolfo Asurin Jr. has ordered an intensified operations against online sabong. General Asurin said the e-sabong is still operating in the country despite the presidential directive to put a stop on its operation.
My directive to all the units, the regional directors, provincial directors, including the CIDG and the IG, pagtulong-tulungan nila na hanapin itong mga nag-operate ng isabong at patigilin nila ito.
General Asurin said some Filipinos abroad are also hooked on the online sabong game.
Hindi lang dito sa atin yung mga nabibiktima, yung mga kababayan natin. Even abroad, I learned from our police attaché doon na may mga isabong din na nalululong ng mga kababayan natin doon. Recorded, parang tinetape dito and then ipapadala doon. So, hindi natin alam kung medyo parang sindikato na rin dahil siyempre baka alam na nila yung resulta rito tapos ipapadala doon. So, ibig sabihin is nagiging ano na to, international na parang sakit na ng mga addicted sa sabong.
General Azurin also noted that crimes in the country may increase due to the continuous online sabong operations.
Pagka nagkautang-utang yung mga kababayan natin, dahil nalulok sila sa isabong, then we expect na crime would increase because yun nga, baon sa utang.
The PNP chief appealed to the public to provide them information if they knew any presence of online sabong operations in their area. Leia Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG, has reminded anew the public to plan their trip, especially this holiday season. The agency also advised fishermen and cruise ships to follow the sea travel regulations to allow the convenient trip of the riding public. PCG Commandant Admiral Artemio Abu said all their personnel are on heightened alert. They are also deployed in some strategic areas such as ports, terminals, and airports.
Pinapaalalahan natin yung ating mga kabayan na magta-travel, na kanuin nila ng maayos yung kanilang pagbiyahe para maging safe, convenient, and secure ang pagbiyahe nila. Nandiyan yung Philippine Coast Guard to help.
Earlier this morning, some 850 PCG draftees took their oath before undergoing a training in Zamboanga. Suspended Bureau of Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag attended the preliminary investigation of his murder charges before the Department of Justice, or DOJ, on Monday, December 5. Meanwhile, Bantag asked the Justice Department to inhibit over his case. Dante Amento has the story.
Suspended Bureau of Corrections Director General Gerald Bantag has personally appeared in today's preliminary investigation of his murder cases at the Department of Justice, or DOJ. Bantag refused to answer some questions but clarified that he is not hiding. He allegedly willing to face the complaints.
May ipasasubmit kaming mga documents. Oo. Kasama yung abogado ko. Kasi sabi nila nagtatago ako. Hindi naman.
Meanwhile, Bantag's camp filed a motion for inhibition before the panel of prosecutors. They asked the DOJ to inhibit from the case and transfer it to the Ombudsman instead. Attorney Rocky Balisong, Bantag's legal counsel, explained this is for the sake of impartiality. Remulla is the head of the panel of prosecutors and he can influence the proceedings of the case. He has allegedly the power to review and even change the decision of the panel.
These are very material matters which should be considered before submitting the counter affidavit. So it is not at all a delaying tactic.
Balisong added, Bantag is a government official with salary grade 30. Hence, it is the Ombudsman has the jurisdiction over his case.
The Department of Justice has no jurisdiction on these cases. It falls within the jurisdiction of the Ombudsman to conduct the necessary or the requisite preliminary investigation as per provision of the Constitution.
Secretary Remulla, on the other hand, asserts there is no doubt it is within the jurisdiction of the DOJ. Bantag should face the case and no more dramas.
Hindi po. Tingnan natin. Basta inhibition is not a question here. Hindi ho pwede. Mabuti naman. Igalang niya ang batas. Sana lagi niyang ginagalang ang batas. Diba? Mula nang simula.
The panel of prosecutors has given 7 days to the other parties to file a comment over the motion of Bantag.
For purposes of the motion for inhibition, we gave the other party or parties the time to submit comment on the motion for inhibition. Upon submission of their comments, then we will resolve the motion for inhibition.
Well, we believe, of course, under the law, that it is within the power of the Department of Justice and the panel of prosecutors to determine whether or not there exists probable cause, and also regarding the preliminary investigation, we believe that they are authorized under the law to conduct the preliminary investigation.
The Lafid family, meanwhile, admitted it is another delay of the case, but they need to abide by the process. No schedule for the next preliminary investigation yet. Dante Amento, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for news abroad, Russia has voiced its opposition against the oil price cap set by Ukraine's Western allies. Mavian Dog explains why live. Maeve?
LC, in a move to cut Russia's revenues, the Group of Seven, or G7 nations, agreed on a $60 oil price cap on Saturday, to which Russia will be conducting an analysis of the agreement and preparing for a response. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Russia will not accept the price ceiling, warning that the country will not supply Russian oil to those who support the agreement. So far, Russia's biggest oil buyers, India and China, have not committed to the oil cap, which comes into effect Monday, December 5. The agreement was announced over the weekend by the European Commission's President Ursula von der Leyen, stating that the cap will serve the European Union's three main objectives: to strengthen the effect of sanctions, to further diminish Russia's revenues, and stabilize global energy markets.
So this price cap will benefit directly emerging and developing economies, and it will be adjustable over time so that we can react to market developments. Together with our partners, we stand united and firm in our opposition to Russia's atrocious war.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the price cap is not serious and suggested a lower cap of $30 to destroy Russia's economy faster. From February next year, the EU will also stop all imports of Russian petroleum products, and a price cap will also be set at a later date using the same mechanism as for crude oil. Back to you, Elsie.
Thank you, Mavian Dog, reporting live from Australia. Mount Semeru, the highest volcano in Indonesia, has erupted, spewing a huge column of gray ash into the air. The eruption began at 2:46 a.m. on Saturday, December 3. Indonesia's Disaster Mitigation Agency BNPB said on Sunday, December 4, that 1,979 people had been moved to 11 shelters, and authorities had distributed masks to residents. There were no immediate reports of any casualties, and Indonesia's Transport Ministry said that there was no impact on air travel, but notices had been sent to 2 regional airports for vigilance. Meanwhile, Japan's meteorology agency said they are monitoring for the possibility of a tsunami after the eruption, but there was no immediate comment from the BNPB on Japan's warning of a tsunami threat. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Elsie. The House Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediaries conducted a briefing on House Bill number 6398, or the establishment of the Maharlika Investment Fund. Several senators are still having reservations on the proposed bill. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why.
Several lawmakers are still concerned about the source of funds that will be used for the Maharlika Investment Fund, or MIF. Under the proposed House Bill number 6398, or the establishment of the Maharlika Investment Fund, the initial 275 billion pesos of the Maharlika funds will come from financial institutions. These include the Government Service Insurance System, or GSIS, or the Social Security System, or SSS. Senator J.V. Ejercito said the use of GSIS and SSS funds should be thoroughly reviewed.
Maganda naman ang intention, pero of course if we intend to use or source the funds from GSIS, SSS, we have to be extra careful because these are pension funds of government and private employees. So yun ang mga dapat meron siguro safety nets para na masigurado, because these are funds of government and private employees. We have to be extra careful about it.
Senate Majority Leader Joel Villanueva said there is a need to protect the retirement funds and other benefits of ordinary workers, especially amid global recession. According to Senator Edgardo Angara, it is best to access investable funds and use dormant government assets. Several groups already expressed dismay over the proposed use of GFI funds for the Maharlika Investment Fund.
Ang tatay ko po, pensyonado, alam nyo kung magkano lang nakukuha? 2,300 pesos monthly. Kapag nagkasakit po siya, pa-check up, hindi namin madala sa doktor.
Other groups, meanwhile, suggest to use other government revenues for the Maharlika Fund. Meanwhile, Presidential Son and Ilocos Norte 1st District Representative Sandro Marcos said that the proposed bill was politicized. He also assured that the bill was not railroaded.
It wasn't railroaded. It goes through a process. First reading, committee report, second reading, third reading. That's the process. So kapag dumaan sa proseso, how is it railroaded?
Former President and House Senior Deputy Speaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo also said that there is enough funds for the said bill. And because the President will manage the MIF, the public will be assured that there is accountability and sufficient safeguards. Lawmakers hope several issues regarding the Maharlika Investment Fund will be ironed out during deliberations and review. Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Senate Blue Ribbon Committee will conduct an investigation into the supposed refusal of the former leadership of the Department of Health, or DOH, to submit documents pertaining to the government's purchases of COVID-19 vaccines. The panel's chairperson, Senator Francis Tolentino, has scheduled the inquiry on December 14 or Wednesday next week. It can be recalled that during his confirmation hearing, Commission on Audit, or COAC Chairperson Gamaliel Cordoba said that former Health Secretary Francisco Duque III allegedly refused to submit documents due to the non-disclosure agreement, or NDA, that was signed between the Philippine government and vaccine manufacturers. However, Cordoba also noted that the resident auditors have been coordinating with the DOH for the special audit that the Health Department itself requested. The Department of Education reminded public schools and its field offices that mandatory contributions and solicitations for holiday parties are not allowed. Janice Hente details why.
As holiday season is coming and the government loses restriction for COVID-19 pandemic, public schools in the country are now allowed to conduct holiday and year-end parties. Earlier, the Department of Education, or DepEd, has issued guidelines for year-end parties in its offices and public schools. Under the Department Order Number 52, no learner or DepEd personnel should be forced to contribute, participate, or use their money for the celebration. Solicitation, whether in cash or in kind, are not allowed for holiday parties and year-end celebrations.
Ayaw lang natin na ma-overburden yung ating mga parents, ang ating mga teachers, ang ating mga learners pag ginagawa nating mandatory mga contributions. So sa ngayon, ang talagang order po natin for this year is voluntary dapat ang mga contributions. Bawal po yung mag-solicit tayo sa kung kanino man para lang po sa ating Christmas parties.
Decorations should be recycled and purchase of new decors are not encouraged.
Ang goal natin is to have a meaningful Christmas wherein yung ang primary theme naman natin is humility, simplicity, no? And of course sharing at a time like this. Is of course we want the parties to be meaningful. Ayaw nating maging extravagant. At ang importante sa lahat is gusto natin yung participation, yung mga contribution na kadalasan ginagawa sa mga Christmas parties ay maging voluntary lang on the part of the learners, the teachers, the parents. Kasi ayaw nating makadagdag pa yung pagsasagawa ng party dun sa burden nila.
Aside from contributions, agency also noted that no student should also be excluded from joining parties because they failed to give a contribution or gift. While parties can be organized within class hours as long as they do not interfere with the scheduled lesson plans. Meanwhile, schools, teachers, parents, and students are now preparing for their year-end parties.
Yung agad ng Christmas party, voluntary lang yan. Pati contributions nila, voluntary.
Sa school namin, meron naman mga parents na
voluntary na magluluto. Katulad ko, ako nagbo-voluntary ako na magdala ng puto. Para kasi gusto ko kasi maraming pagkain ng mga bata. Ma-enjoy nila yon. Voluntary kami na magdadala ng pagkain. Hindi pinipilit ang mga magulang kung sumali yung mga bata o hindi.
Okay lang naman kasi sa akin katulad ko, grade 1 pa lang yung panganay ko. Mas gusto ko kasi na ma-experience niya for the first time.
Masaya po kasi makakasama na po yung mga kaklase ko, pati teacher ko. May bonding time na po sa classmates at sa teachers po. Hindi na po puro aral, may saya din po.
Maraming gift at saka makakasama ko po yung mga classmates ko. Makakabanding pati po yung mga teacher.
Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, on Monday, December 5, has named 5 initial locations in the National Capital Region that will be involved in its Register Anywhere project, or RAP pilot run, that will take place from December 17, 2022 to January 25, 2023. COMELEC spokesperson Attorney Rex Laudianco has identified the 5 establishments that are widely accessible across NCR. These are SM Mall of Asia, SM Fairview, SM South Mall, Robinson's Galleria, and Robinson's Place, Manila. Laudianco said in a press briefing that a voter can go to the Register Anywhere booth if by chance that he is in NCR and he doesn't live in Metro Manila but he wants to vote in his municipality. The thumb marks and other biometrics will be taken from the voter at the booth, and this will be sent by COMELEC to his desired municipality. Meanwhile, Laudianco added that individuals do not need to visit COMELEC offices if they need to reactivate their voter ID, and the form can be downloaded at the COMELEC website. Other concerns about the voter registration record may be sent to their email address, registrationstatus@comelec.gov.ph. This email address is at the COMELEC website, and a schedule will be provided for a video conferencing so the voter can swear online. The Department of Agriculture is now considering to sell government-seized onions at Kadiwa stores to ease the burden of Filipinos amid the rising onion prices. However, they have to check if these are safe and need to subject to a phytosanitary inspection first. Bernadette Tinoy will tell us why.
Smuggled white onions that were confiscated by the Bureau of Customs in Tondo, Manila, have been stored by the government. According to Department of Agriculture Deputy Spokesperson Rex Perez, the confiscated white onions need to have phytosanitary inspection to verify the safety of the said products before they would have a go signal to sell it in Kadiwa stalls for public consumption.
Ang order po niya ng Bureau of Customs at saka yung sa Bureau of Plant Industry ay talagang sisira. At saka sinabi naman ni Senior Undersecretary Panganiban na tingnan natin muli. Baka kung may mga microbian, makapekto naman ang industriya natin at saka sa kalusugan ng mga tao. Kung hindi naman, saka pa-desisyonan po natin yan. Kung yan naman po ay smuggled, pwede namang, kung papayagan tayo yung benta yan, pwede mas mababa po yan. Dahil po naman yan, kumbaga, walang ng price nga yan. So yan po ay pag-desisyonan po ng team natin.
Meanwhile, the Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura or SINAG President Rosendo So expressed his objection if the white onions were sold to markets.
Hindi pwede yun. Bawal yun. Bakit sila magbebenta? Sabi nila may stock pa. Dapat yung mga dumadating dito sa bansa, dapat may SPS na IC before na pwedeng pumasok. So yung mga pumasok is smuggled na yun kung walang SPS IC.
Senator Cynthia Villar also took her stance against smuggling for wet markets.
So, smuggled. So, hindi pwede nilang ibenta sa Kadiwa ang smuggled. If ito tolerate natin ang smuggled, di lalo sila mag-encourage mas smuggled. Kaya siguro, at kawawa naman yung ating local producer pag tinotolerate natin na smuggling.
Furthermore, Perez said that the agency will conduct inventories on cold storages to know the truth behind the sudden hike in onion prices.
Tayo po naman sa Department of Agriculture, kautusan po ni USEC Panganiban, tingnan natin yung mga cold storages dito, hindi lang dito sa Metro Manila. yung pag-atin pong pag-inspect, kung hindi kasama po natin yung pinagtataniman itong mga sibuyas na to, para sa ganun, masigurado natin na wala pa silang stock. At kung sabi ko nga kung hindi kayo makipagtulungan sa amin, then, worst comes to worst, mag-import po tayo.
The price for onion in Kadiwa stores still ranges at 170 per kilo for a consecutive week this holiday season, and it is expected to decrease once the smuggled onion issue have been resolved and sold to the public. Bernadette Tinoy, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Workers continue to demand for better pay as wages stagnate in an economy dipping into a recession. But the United Kingdom government is considering the use of military force to keep key services operating. Marvin Delphine details why live. Marvi?
Elsie, as the United Kingdom or UK struggles with inflation facing their 41-year high, multiple industry sectors such as the National Health Service intend to demand for better pay, with nurses in the thousands joining and walking out of their jobs later this month. UK's chairman for the leading Conservative Party, Nadhim Zahawi, has urged for an attempt at negotiating with the workers, saying that it is not a time to strike. He has also warned those who plan to walk out that contingency plans are being prepared, noting that the government is looking for a military specialist response force. Tension continues to rise as the government has stated that no more strikes could be carried out in order to prevent inflation, saying that agreeing to their demands would also contribute to inflation. Meanwhile, LC, nationwide disruption has begun ever since the constant strikes workers are performing, impacting the railway services and other sectors like healthcare, security, and education. Just last month, over 70,000 university staff in the United Kingdom went on a strike demanding better pay. This was the largest ever, impacting more than 2.5 million students. LC?
Thank you, Marvi Delphine, reporting live from Australia. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Elsie Marcos, live from Auckland, New Zealand. Good evening.
With 216 votes, the House of Representatives has approved House Bill 452, seeking to establish a virology and vaccine institute of the Philippines. The said institute aims to focus on developing vaccines for viruses and other pathogens. It will also spearhead the country's response to pandemics similar to the COVID-19 pandemic being faced globally. House Speaker Martin Romualdez said that the country should rely on its own resources during health crisis. Under the said measure, the institute will conduct in-depth studies on viruses and their potential disease-causing agents that affect people, plants, and animals. This will potentially provide prevention of its transmission within the community. The Virology and Vaccine Institute will also be a venue for scientists, research institutes, and other organizations in the Philippines and abroad to work together and study viruses. House Committee on Labor and Employment Chair and Rizal 4th District Representative Fidel Nograles on Sunday, December 4, vowed to consolidate all the 11 bills proposing for the creation of the Magna Carta of workers in the informal economy. In a press statement, he mentioned that the need for the Magna Carta for informal workers has been discovered after seeing their growing in number as a result of the pandemic. According to Nograles, this is the perfect time to improve the protection and push for the rights of the said sector, and their committee has been seriously working on it for the passage of the measure. The Magna Carta of workers in the informal economy covers different issues regarding labor rights, proper working conditions, decent wages, among others. Nograles noted that since there is still no law that recognizes their rights, informal workers have been abused in the workplace. He said it's hard for the sector to seek assistance from the government once they are abused, since they do not have any formal documents to prove their employment and they have no benefits as well. Light Rail Manila Corporation, or LRMC, expects the daily passengers of LRT Line 1 may return to pre-pandemic level next year. Earlier today, the Roosevelt station of LRT-1 reopens to commuters after 2 years of hiatus. JP Nunez details why.
The average daily passenger of Light Rail Transit Line 1 is already reaching nearly 300,000 this month. According to Light Rail Manila Corporation or LRMC, it was already 65% of the passenger volume before pandemic hit. With the reopening of the Roosevelt station in Quezon City earlier today, around 22,000 to 23,000 passengers is expected to be added. By 2023, LRT1 passengers may return to pre-pandemic level.
Siguro dahan-dahan dahil kaka-announce lang natin na nag-open ng Roosevelt, konti-unti natin na makikita na nagra-ramp up yung ridership natin. Tinitingnan namin by next year, babalik na tayo sa pre-pandemic levels.
Meanwhile, reopening of the Roosevelt station after 2 years of temporary closure gave convenience to passengers.
Very convenient kasi at least ngayon medyo kahit late na ako umalis ng bahay. Before kasi sa Balintawak pa ako sasakay. Tapos pag pauwi, bababa pa rin ako. Yung convenience ng time travel, mas okay.
Hassle dahil talagang ang means lang ng transpo via taxi. Walang ibang way para makano. Although may carousel, kaya lang super haba naman. Inaabot talaga ng napakatagal, napakalaki ng development ngayong na-open ulit. Napakalaki ng chance na hindi na malilate, hindi na rush, dire-diretso na. Kaya thankful at nag-open itong Roosevelt Station.
Nung hindi pa po ito, Balintawak pa po ako. So magka-carousel pa po, ang haba po ng pila sa carousel. So minsan po na-relate din po.
First train from Roosevelt Station and Baclaran Station will begin their ride at 4:30 a.m. including weekdays, weekends, and holidays, while the train in Baclaran Station will take the last trip by 10 p.m. on weekdays and 9:30 p.m. by weekends and holidays. The last trip in Roosevelt Station will be at 10:15 p.m. on weekdays and 9:45 p.m. on weekends and holidays. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippines on Monday, December 5, reported the past week was the fifth with less than 10,000 new cases logged based on the latest COVID-19 bulletin of the Department of Health or DOH. Based on data from November 28 to December 4, 2022, the country has recorded 7,731 new COVID-19 infections. These cases were 4% lower than the 8,032 cases recorded from November 21 to 27. The daily case average for last week has dropped to 1,104 from the 1,147 average of the previous period. The Health Department has also verified 134 additional COVID-19 related deaths from July 2020 to December 2022. From these fatalities, 19 occurred between November 21 to December 4 alone. DOH data showed 9.1% of the total COVID-19 admissions has been recorded. There are 595 severe and critical cases have been admitted to hospitals as of December 4. 22.1% or 534 out of 2,413 intensive care unit or ICU beds have been occupied in hospitals. Meanwhile, 25.3% or 5,177 out of the 20,452 non-ICU COVID-19 beds were in use. There were 2 individuals, or 0.03% of the new cases reported from November 28 to December 4 has been tagged as new, severe, or critical cases. Our kasambahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 17, it says, "Recompense to no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men." And those are the reasons behind the news December 5, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. Because we need to know. We will always ask why. I am Harleen Delgado. We serve the people. We give glory to God.